Hello, hello, my fellow spicy nacho Doritos. In this video, I'm going to teach how to protect exposed cables or wires. So what? So you're going to need strong sticking, like tape that will stick strongly. What in the tape that is actually the main preference for mine is the tape that is actually meant for wires and cables. It's called electrical tape. I think it's designed for that. If that's what I would find for search results, the search results would say that electrical tape is preferred for, what said something that was preferred for certain people, or like for, don't remember exactly what was said. I don't remember the exact result, but that it, but then the other part was for using with wires or cables or something like that. I'm not. I probably didn't said the exact same wording that was in text for the search results that I found. So basically, besides the tape, which I recommend electrical tape for the tape, because I just highly recommend I highly recommend electrical tape for the tape. The other options, you're going to need these big scissors. You're going to need these big scissors, and I like to use a pair of smaller scissors just to help get the tape like off the roll so I can start using it. And I like to, so let's pretend my fingers let's pretend the end of my hand is the area where the end tape part of tape that was on a tape roll. I would just go to this corner side, the right or the left corner side of the tape, and I'll try to scrape up and do that to both sides. And if I did that enough, I will be able to get a grip onto it, but not a grip onto it, but that's if I'm lucky. But also, I will use the big scissors after that on both sides. But if I have to, go back to the scissors again, and then mainly, possibly back to this scissors on the side for the left and the right side, but it's not really that complicated. It just depends on if you did it good enough. And I prefer switch using the method of two of these scissors. The smaller scissors, a smaller pair of scissors. The smaller scissors. The smaller scissor and the bigger scissor. So I just like to use that as a combination, which makes it easier to get the electrical tape off the roll. So once you scraped with the smaller scissors and with the combination of the bigger scissors, but first the smaller scissors to make it be able to be gripped. And once you did that to the left side and the right side enough, then you're probably stopped. You probably stopped if you once you've done that. You probably stopped because you were able to grip the tape. And that's when you should stop. And then just grip the tape. And after that, just get a. I'm just going to get a wire to show an example. Okay, so just tape it around the area, and you'll probably have to go like diagonally to make sure you don't bump into the same tape you were covering, and make sure you go diagonal enough when you're that like so you're make sure you go diagonal enough like that and diagonal enough like in that way that it won't overlap and go over the same electrical tape. And also if it's like a part if it's connected to something like let's say a device and you might want to make it not just covered but more stiff towards the connected area because it might be exposed or whatever is happening in your situation. So I would prefer just in that situation if it's connected to like a box or something, that type of electronical device or whatever that is that wire is connected to. I would prefer you to just first do what I did. Talked about before. Go around diagonally and just so you don't overlap, and just maybe do more layers. Just do more layers, and then eventually do another layer, maybe above off that other layer to just connect it flatly to the higher part of the wire, and then add, if you can, without covering any important parts of your electronical device, then I would recommend to add electrical tape to the sides while connecting to the actual wire, and just go around and just and maybe if you have to cut it short, but if you can, then just go around the whole wire area. And but if the tape is going to interfere with another part of the tape, then don't forget the diagonal techniques that don't forget about the diagonal technique that I talked about. So once you just do that, just put the electrical tape. Let's say this is the device here, and this is the tape. So first, get it around, maybe go diagonal a little, and then tape here, something like this. Maybe you have to go a little diagonal upwards, or maybe you come and then you have to cut it early so it doesn't interfere with the other part of the tape. If there's any sticking part, and then just put down the tape, or it just depends. It could be whatever it's interfering with the tape, or maybe it's just not a good enough area for it to stick because there's the tape length going over that area, for example, a small corner like this, or well, something like this is the corner, and pretend this is more sharper and not just my fingers being like just pretend my fingers are more like when there's another finger, it's going like straight diagonally, and this is like the corner. So basically, just if it's like going here, it's like won't stick that well. So you're going to have to cut it early, or just make sure the tape is longer so it can bypass that. But really, there's if it's like actually here, there's actually going to be a, a gap areas on both sides if you are really going, or it just depends on like if there's what's below. If there's more, like if it's more like a like if there's more of that actual like let's say it's like a spear end that it could stick, but if it just depends on how much there is to stick onto. So once you got the actual tape like all over, like for, not like for the like where object where the wire comes out, like if you got all like on the object and the wire and just all the whole setup that I was explaining, then it should be stiffer than just the than how it was with the wire exposed, and it won't. And if you do that correctly, it won't actually bend as easy as it did before. It because that's if there was enough space to actually put the tape on for the surface and to the wire, because there could be connection areas of the device that you would want to connect to. And when, by the way, I use these scissors use scissors like this to cut off the tape when I am using tape for actually when I'm done with tape that I pulled out and I want to cut it, or just cut it in whatever situation I want to cut for the electrical tape. I would use these scissors because these these small scissors here, they're not really, I wouldn't use them for cutting the tape. I just use them for help being gaining. I just use these scissors for helping the electrical tape come off the electrical tape roll with a combination of scissors like this. So that's what I use scissors like these for, but I really think this is like the only pair I have. So I hoped this video was helpful, and I hoped this taught anyone anything. Whoever watched this, I hope whoever watched this learned something. And I hope everyone who watched this will not have a problem in the future of having exposed cables without knowing how to protect that. Like, you don't even need to use, you don't even need to melt the tape. You don't have to melt the tape like some people do with electrical tape. You just need the tape to be a protection. You don't really have to melt the electrical tape like some people who are actually adding coating for wires. So there's no actual need to melt the electrical tape when you try to do this, or for when you try to do this, I guess I should say, because I think that makes more sense if I'm right. So there's no need. There's no need for melting any of the. There's no need for melting any of the electrical tape if you don't have anything to melt it with, or you don't want to go through all of that work, or you don't have the equipment to do that, or the knowledge to do that. I just gave information about how I actually protect wires that I have. And I hope this information is useful for anyone who chooses to watch this YouTube video. Bye, YouTube. Bye, my fellow spicy nacho Doritos.